Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Project Cast 2 Apex Online Racing LMP2 League on the PC. It's Season 1, and this is the pre-season race from Road America. My name is Thompson, and I will be commentating this race for you tonight. And I think we're going to have a very interesting season ahead of us here. As obviously, first of all, hello to everybody who is watching. So I've seen a couple of people have joined, which is nice to see. Currently, we're still sitting in the lobby and waiting for the race to go ahead. So, first of all, let's have a little look at the season calendar. So we can see tonight is the pre-season race, Road America, and then we'll have 15 minutes of qualifying, and then tonight we'll have a 60-minute race. The race length itself will differ from round to round. So for round 1 in Bathurst, we're going to have an 80-minute race, then 80 minutes at Mugello, 60 minutes at the combined Nürburgring, so LMP cars on the Nordschleife, that's definitely going to be interesting. Another 60-minute race at Spa, and then we've got the Le Mans 24 hours, which are not 24 hours long, but a tenth of that, so 145 minutes. And as a season finale, we're going to have 60 minutes in Portugal. So, yeah, that's definitely going to be a very interesting season. And I think somewhere here, yep, that's the current roster from, I think I grabbed that about 2 hours ago. So I'm not quite sure if all the team names or liveries are correct, or if something might have changed shorthand. But you can have a look at the list now. And if you don't have a favourite yet, pick a favourite. So pick a name you like, or a livery you like, or a car you like, and stick with that for the rest of the season. But yeah, looks like we soon should be getting underway. So yeah, what can we expect from tonight's race? So first of all, Road America, great track to drive around. Obviously, I've done a few testing laps myself just to see how it goes, and it's going to be very interesting. I've sat in with a few practice sessions with the drivers as well, just to have a look how they approach the weekend, or in this case, the Wednesday evening races. And yeah, Road America is going to be interesting in particular because it's... even though it has fast corners, Carousel for example, it's still a fairly low downforce track because of the long straights. The two of it, which has the front straight, which is just called the Road America Straight, and then you've got Moraine Sweep and Kettle Bottoms. So very interesting names there. So yeah, we'll probably see a lot of sliding today. Especially coming out of corners, putting the power down. These cars do have traction control that you can set to different levels, but obviously the less traction control you have, the more control you have, and the faster you can go, but the more risk you have. Let's put it that way. So this is actually on screen a picture of entering turn number 5, which I think could be a prime overtaking spot next to turn 1 and turn 12, which is also known as Canada Corner. So yeah, I'm just having a look how the lobby is doing at the moment. Still waiting, although more and more drivers are readying up. So we've got currently 32 drivers in the lobby, and there we go. The countdown is ticking down, so we will switch to the qualifying session very shortly once the server has loaded. So yeah, hello Dominic, hello to you, and hello to everyone who's now joined, because the numbers have gone quite up a bit. So thank you very much for that. I hope you enjoy tonight's race. It is technically still a pre-season race, so no points will be awarded, but I think we can have a good idea of how the grids might look for the next couple of races, who our championship contenders might be, and who might be fighting for points in the midfield. Alright, that looks like we're in the lobby now, so let's switch over. There we go. And I'm not going to forget to add the game sound. There we go. It's not like I haven't done that one before. So I'm running on a completely new system, so I hope the audio levels are okay. If they're not, please let me know. Good evening to Lustra First Race you're watching, so I hope you enjoy it. Because usually these are a lot of fun, and the league is currently full, so I'm not quite sure how sign-up situation is with quite a few reserves, as we'll just follow Stephen Carey here. He's, I think, one of the coordinators actually for this league, and he's locking up his brakes a bit as he is doing his outlap. I think he might have been one of the first to actually go out. So let's put up the map here. Yep, there we go. That's confirmation. He's the first one out on track. You can see a bit wobbly there on cold tyres coming out of the pits. And just having to configure here. There we go. Alright, so this is the Carousel, one of, if not the most famous corner around this track. Very long, tight right-hander, and then followed in a what should be flat-out kink in these cars. Not in all racing series, obviously. In some you'll you do have to lift or brake, but these LMP2 cars have quite a bit of downforce, as we can see Stephen weaving here to warm up his tyres in his Ligier. So we do have different types of cars. So as we can see, Stephen in the Ligier Nissan. There's also a Ligier Honda, I think. We've got Marex, RWDs, Orica Nissans. So these are going to be interesting. Whereas Andrex, there he is, because they have open cockpits, unlike the other LMP2 cars. And Andrex is one of the guys who, if he puts in effort, can be fairly quick. Although he was quite humble in a social race last week, which I'm not going to spoil where he finished, but he had a very good race, and he was very humble about it. So he's one of the guys who's going to be aiming for top 5s, is what he said. So let's see where he can put himself on the timesheets. So you can see there's a bit of a bunch up there in Canada corners, everybody trying to spread out to get their laps in. So let's go back to Stephen, because he's the first one on a flying lap. As it looks like he maybe ran a little deep there coming into turn number 5. Let's go on board there. That's not an onboard camera. There we go. That's the cockpit cam. As he's running into some traffic here. Oh! That was a bit dangerous, to be honest. I'm not quite sure who that was. Letting him go there in a very dangerous spot, if you ask me. But, well, no damage done. The lap is gone, of course, but at least the car is in one piece, I guess. But, yeah, that's going to be an issue with 30 drivers here in this league. Not all tracks are very long, and you will get in trouble with traffic from time to time. So Road America, one of the shorter tracks, obviously in Le Mans or the Nürburgring, that won't be as much an issue as it will be tonight. So Stephen now coming around the last corner, closely followed there. And he's going to put the first time on the board, which shouldn't be very representative. There we go, 158, and that was actually Crab there behind him. He puts in a 153.1. Just having a look, Crab and Stephen are teammates for Mission Spin now, so maybe there was some intentional slipstream going on there between the two teammates, as Ultimate Kaiser is now in second place, about half a second off. So we will see time starting to improve as the session goes on. We've got 10 minutes remaining on the clock. And Tomahawks now in second place, putting his name on the board. Andrex with a penalty there, 1 grid place, so not quite sure what he has done to deserve that. Maybe impeding a driver or something. But he will drop a spot after qualifying has concluded. And he's currently sitting in P11, and 20 drivers have now set their lap times. Another driver who I expect to be quick is Yogok here. Yogok has also raced in the Project Cars 2 Formula Renault League last summer, that I also commented on, and he was very fast and consistent most of the time, let's put it that way. But yeah, he can sometimes have alien-like pace, so we'll have to have an eye out on that, but he hasn't put a representative time on the board yet, so maybe this lap can put him further towards the front, because he's currently only sitting in P25. In case you're wondering, with 30 or 32 cars respectively, we've got 31 cars tonight, it seems, unless the overlay here is not working correct. It looks like 31. So technically we've got 30 drivers, but depending on some tracks that have enough pit stalls for 32, we'll have 32 races. Racers, that is, not racers. and the top 20 gain points. So 2/3 of the field, if you're in the bottom 10 or bottom 12, you won't get any points. Fastest lap is awarded 1 point, as is pole position. So apart from the obvious, a good starting position, the qualifying is not too unimportant with the bonus point awarded there. At the top, currently Dusty now second and second. And Bergfrans, the Norwegian driver with the Mexican flag on his car, has set a pretty incredible time there with a 1:51.5. It's currently 1.5 seconds quicker than Dusty in second, so that's going to be very interesting if that already can place him on pole position, or if someone can go quicker, if he just was the first one to nail a lap. So I'm just having a look. Yeah, Yoguk now crossed the line, currently in P13. So not quite yet on the pace, but we'll have to wait and see how he does. So let's just have a look at the other drivers on the top. So Dusty in second. We've got Crab in third. He was the first one to set a provisional pole time. Tomahawks in fourth. Inky Chris in P5, another veteran Project Cars AOR racer. Ultimate in P6 here. We've got Eisenschenk in seventh. We've got Kierovnik. I think he's Polish, so excuse my pronunciation. Smolder in ninth, and Atomic rounds off the top 10. As I say that, someone has put in a time. I think that was Speedy Go there in fourth. So he now up into the top 5 there. So Dusty has, I think, just started a new lap. So there we go. Let's put the speedo on screen as well for qualifying, because we can see what the driver is doing. Be mindful though that the information on here is a bit delayed. So for example, when you see him shift, it looks like he adds throttle very smoothly, even though it's just a short blip for the shift. So has a bit of a delay to it. But still helpful to see perhaps if different drivers use different gears in different corners, as he's currently 1.5 tenths up. So let's see if he can keep that up. And this is the cockpit view, by the way, for Dusty, so that is what he can see out of his seat, as he has a bit of a slide there coming through turn 8 now into the carousel. You can see this very long right hand corner, and the front left tyre absolutely takes a punishment through there. But good line there from Dusty, as he's going to come up to the second sector split shortly. We can see if he's still on pace. No, he's lost 3/10 through the middle sector there, so pretty sure that slide contributed to that, as he has another one there. So it's not for a lack of pushing, it's just for a lack of execution at the moment for Dusty. And I think he might come into the pit, so he's going to do another lap. Nope, he's finishing the lap, although he doesn't have the fuel to do another one. But he did improve in the last sector, so maybe he messed that one up on the previous try. He did improve his time, but he just got overtaken by Ultimate Kaiser, who's now in second, and still 9/10 off bogey. Oh, what a slide. Yeah, I did promise sliding, and for a good reason, because they're running relatively low downforce today, and you can definitely see that in some corners. So yeah, Ultimate putting himself on the front row there. Dusty now only in third. Crab still in fourth. And just having a look, his teammate Steven struggling at the moment, only in P25. So he should have had a lot of time to get decent times on the board, but looks like currently he's not put them together. We've still got a couple of drivers who haven't driven any time with us. So let's have a look. Cameron getting... no, he's giving slipstream actually. Is he completing the lap? No, he started the lap, so he still doesn't have a time on the wall. As well as Domino, one of the coordinators. But I think he might be finishing a lap now, surely with only 3 minutes to go. So let's see. No, he's also started a lap, or his lap was invalidated. The Gnome, also one of the drivers, who hasn't finished a lap yet, with a nice black and bright pink livery, so easy to spot from afar. And I think that livery is in one of the screenshots for this season, but obviously we'll see that at a later race. Because for tonight's stream, you already saw the thumbnail, if you have been waiting for the stream beforehand, or just seen it on the at the start of the stream. You should have seen it as well. All right, Ultimate going out for another go. It says 11 seconds down, but obviously that was his outlap. So the question was with 2 minutes remaining, as he has a huge moment there in turn 1. I was just about to say we'll have to see whether he can put up a challenge for Boga there in P1, but wow, what a slide. So this lap is a write-off. You can see he's now back to tyre warming, so probably fighting cold tyres there coming into turn 1. And looks like the commentator's curse very strongly as I switch over to Dusty, who's spun it in, was that the kink? So yeah, currently the contention for P1 is not really there, but Bogey is still out on his last qualifying run, I think. So let's have a look here if he will improve his time as he goes through the kink here. Just having a look, yeah, Bogey and Dusty are actually teammates, so currently looking very good for the team understeer. Yeah, Dusty definitely had oversteer there instead of understeer. But let's have a look if Bogey can really put his foot in here and secure that pole position in the first race here. Okay, so it's currently slower, but he does have 12.5 litres of fuel, and that sounds like quite a bit just for one lap. But we'll have to wait and see. Bit wide there, kicked up a little bit of dust coming out of turn number 1 as he now goes on to the moraine sweep. Not quite sure if that's a name for the whole straight, actually, if it's just the bottom part down here, where the track drops down and come down into turn 5, hard braking, and then a left, and you can use a lot of curb here if you want. They're fairly flat as you go back uphill, but he's currently down on his own time, about 2/10. As time is now up, Ultimate won't improve, neither will Dusty. Crab has just finished his lap, so he'll be in P4. Eisenschenk also across the line. Smolder is still going for it, as is Yogok, who's not managed to break into the top 10 at the moment, but he's up by 2.5 tenths. Andrex with that penalty fighting to stay in the top 20 as it comes around the last corner, so we'll stay up here with him and see if he can improve as he comes across the line. P16 with the penalty, that will be P17 next to Ticklish Pickle Wickle, who I shorthand with TPW because it's quicker to say. AS Turbo has finished his lap. What can Bogey do as he comes around the final corner? I don't think he even needs to put pressure on him. He can just finish the lap. Can he improve? Currently 151.5. And yes, went a few thousandths quick. 151.558. Almost a full second quicker than the second fastest driver. So Bogey with absolute insane pace. WMDR Martin will finish his lap as well, of course. See if he can break into the top 20. Answers yes he can. P19. Who's still on track? We've got Cameron still on track. He's not on a fast lap though. And Smolder has pulled into the pits. So that is qualifying complete for the pre-season race here at Road America. Burgerfans in P1. We've got Ultimate Case in P2. Dusty 3rd. Crab 4th. Speedy Go in 5th. And now the screen is gone. So we'll continue that. Inky Chris P6. Tomahawk 7th. Ace Turbo in P8. Eisenschenk in 9th. And Smolder rounds off the top 10. And yeah, that's definitely going to be very interesting to see. Maybe Bogey has a more qualifying orientated setup, so we'll have to wait and see how his tyre wear and lap times will look on heavy fuel. And here just confirmation, 30 drivers like it seems like tonight. And now actually already in the race session itself. So we'll have a manual rolling start procedure. So I think now is a good time to go through that. So they will drive basically like a formation lap in Formula 1. Drive around the track. The leader dictates the speed, although he's not allowed to go too fast or too slow. So there's a certain speed where he should be in going around the lap. Everybody will try and warm their brakes and tyres. And then just after turn 13, after Bill Mitchell Bend, there's a formation point that has been set during the driver's briefing, where they will form up in a 2x2 formation, and then they'll go through the last corner, and on the top of the hill up to the start finish straight is an acceleration zone, and the leader can decide basically when he wants to bolt. Somewhere in that area he can floor it, and that's when the race will start. So that's the procedure for the manual rolling start. And I think currently we're still waiting for everybody to get their settings done. So check their pit strategy and their setups. If everything is correct, that should take about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we will get to the race. So just having a look here. This is what it looks like from the back of the grid. Cameron B on the P29 here. He has all the rows ahead of him as the race has now started. So we'll see the leaders here. There we go. Now slowly pull away, and everybody will follow the Norwegian. So tyre warming is allowed, brake warming is allowed, although too heavy braking isn't, because that might cause an incident. But I think the speed is around 130, yeah, there we go. So 130 is the optimum speed that Bogey is supposed to go around the track. So you can see he's sticking to that, more or less, using throttle and the brakes, and of course weaving to get all the temperatures in. And let's have a look. There we go. The back of the field is also underway, and then in the final sector they will all line up. Project Cars does have a automated rolling start procedure, but it's not very optimal for league racing or for online racing in that matter, because the drivers don't have any control over the car before the lights go out, and on some tracks that can leave huge gaps, and depending on where you start, you might have a very big disadvantage. So that's why for several seasons now in several racing series on Project Cars we have this set manual rolling start procedure has been agreed on, and it works fairly well. We've got a bit of a gap here in P28, right at the back of the grid. So these guys have to watch out that they don't lose the pack. But looks like they're now closing back up. Obviously, that's something that can happen with a Constantina effect going on during a warm-up lap. That's why it's so important that the leader sticks to the agreed speeds. And I think during the lineup procedure it should be 80 kilometers an hour. Just going to put up the speeder just to be sure. Yeah, looks like everybody's already lining up now. And yeah, we're going about 90, so the odd numbers will be on the inside line, so pole position will be on the right hand side coming down the front straight, and you can see everybody now lining up. There's a bit of Constantinaing going on there in the background. Not sure if there was any contact here, I hope there wasn't. But yeah, now coming up to the straight, to the acceleration zone, and basically now the leader decides when the race will go. He's still waiting. Oh, and he's bolted. He's gone right at the start of the acceleration zone. I was wondering if he was going to wait to not give any slipstream, but he hasn't, so there we go. Dusty and Ultimate going side by side here, coming down into turn number 1. We've got a lot of 2 wide action going on behind. Looks like Bogey has absolutely nailed that start and let everybody eat his dust there. And Dusty has put himself there in second. Just having a look further down the order, so we've got Bogey, Dusty, Ultimate, Crab, Speedy Go, Inky, Chris here in the Orica, one of the few that we have in this split, as Tomahawks going up the inside here, coming down into turn 5. Looked like he went a bit deep, but everything fine. Clean move there. As at the top, Crab now having a look here, putting himself into P3 behind Ultimate. There's a lot of shuffling on going on at the moment. Bogey already with a 1.5 second lead just after a bit more than a sector, as Crab has a bit of a lock up here coming into turn 8, as the first time the pack will go through the carousel now. So we'll have to watch out for that dirty air. Can wash you out wide, and on the outside there's no asphalt runoff, there's just gravel there, so you don't want to end up there. And it looks like at the moment everybody at the front of the field coming through cleanly. A bit of a wiggle there from Speedy Go going through the kink. That surely would have been scary from inside the cockpit, but he's held on to that one and to P6, but it's got a lot of pressure from Tomahawks here at the moment, who looks like he wants to make a couple of moves early here in the race. So he'll surely get a next chance coming down to turn 1, or up the straight in this case. Good exit there from him, as he's now behind Speedy Go. Using the slipstream, up into 6th gear. He's going to have a look. He's half side by side, but he's not quite close enough, so we'll not go for that move on lap 2 of a race. So he sticks back behind, but he's got AS Turbo behind him, so he has to watch out for the cars behind him as well. And whoops, that was Speedy Go, I think, getting past Crab there. Is Crab having issues, going very slowly, dropping places. Now dropping a place to Tomahawks as they come down to turn 5, so not quite sure what happened there. Crab dropping places at the moment. Oh! As he runs into the back of the Swede there and nearly pushes him off the track, which costs both of them time. Crab losing another spot down into 8th. So that bump surely will have given him some kind of damage on the front of the car. But all parts at least are still on at the moment. As Crab now going side by side round the outside of the carousel, no less. That's a very ballsy move, and he gets punished off into the grass, and he still loses that spot now. Back down into 8th. That was a very brave move there. Unfortunately, it didn't pay off. And Crab still on the back foot here with another 52 minutes of racing remaining. So, back at the front, we can see the gap from Bogey behind is already over 2.5 seconds. So it looks like his race pace is very quick as well. As Ultimate is trying to hunt him down there in second. Got Dusty in third. So at the moment, it's looking very good for Team Understeer. The 2 cars on the in the top 3. Inky Chris in P4. Allegedly, the Orica not the quickest car. But Inky Chris making it work nevertheless in 4th at the moment. He has Speedy Go behind him in P5. We've got Toomberhawks, we've got AS Turbo, we've got Crab in 8th. So it looks like he has found his footing again and has settled into a rhythm now. Smolder in 9th, who's leading quite a train behind him. And then we've got Kironik in 10th. Running off the top 10 in that very bright green and black liveried car. So, just having a look, because it seems like Inky Chris can't really get rid of the cars behind him here. I've been told that the Orica doesn't have the straight line speed some of the other cars have. It is fairly decent in the corners though, so have to wait and see. As Speedigo made a mistake here, it's now under pressure from Tomberhawks from behind, from the Swede. It's going to be on the outside here, coming into Canada corner. Speedigo defending. Oh, there was some contact, and a Swede there off into the grass and into the runoff. So Speedigo not giving any quarters there, defending very hard for that P5. So maybe that's his personal target he set himself for tonight. But yeah, at the moment he's holding on to that one. So just outside the top 10 here, we've got this huge train forming, and looks like Eisenschenk is driving the train. And behind him is Face Grinder, just having a look because they have similar liveries, but they're not actually teammate. Eisenschenk and Ultimate are teammates for the, what's the team called? The Moisty Boys. So Eisen currently in 11th, Ultimate doing very well in 2nd place, but at the moment doesn't look like he has the pace to catch the leader. But there's still another 50 minutes to go, so we'll have to wait and see. Ooh! Looks like Eisenschenk was going to get pressured, but at the moment he seems to be safe. It was quite close enough there to get past. So, looks like Inky Chris has a bit of breathing space now after Speedigo's error there. And obviously the attack from Tomberhawks that went a bit wrong. I think that cost everybody time in that pack. So you can see the Orica just pulling away there in the distance. The gap at the moment is, I think, what is it, 2.7 seconds. So the front few drivers now starting slowly to spread out, as we have Cameron in the pits. There's no mandatory pit stop, so I'm guessing that Cameron had some sort of damage there, starting from that far back as he did. And Andrix, one of the other Oricas, looks like he's run into some trouble somewhere down the line, because he's currently only in 29th. And a whole 1 minute and 20 seconds behind the next car. So, if you haven't done so far, I hope you've already now picked a favorite team, car, livery and or driver. And if you want, you can let me know who you're rooting for. At the moment, Speedigo has dropped to 6th, so AS Turbo has gotten past. Who was that there? I think that was Crab. Yeah, Crab spinning in turn 5. Spun off to the inside there, had to spin the car around, and he wasn't, I think, in P8, so that cost him another 5 spots. Not doing too well, Crab, there, and seeing how much he's struggling. Oh! As Yogurt there, having a go through the through turn number 6. That was unexpected. That's usually not an overtaking opportunity unless you already started setting that up coming into turn 5. So you're now up into 11th. Hasn't had the best qualifying, but looks like he's making up for it with race pace. And he's now only 1 spot away from the top 10. So Crab now defending versus Gwegwin behind. And again he's off, sliding around, so I'm pretty sure Crab must have some kind of damage which is hurting the car pace and making it harder to drive. That's at least what we can observe from the outside. As he again has a bit of a slide coming up the final corner, but he's close to Gwegwin, so he might have a go here into turn number 1. As, I think he flashed the lights there coming out of the final corner. Great camera shot to see what speeds they're actually going at. But nope, Crab not close enough, so he might be a bit down on straight line speed, as well as, again, he has a bit of a slide there going through turn number 1. So Crab currently on the back foot, struggling for pace, fighting his car, and slowly dropping positions. He's still in the top half of the field at the moment, but he's got quite a few quick drivers behind him as well, so we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. Meanwhile, back in the fight for P5, that is. So we've got AS Turbo, Speedigo and Tomahawks in P5, 6 and 7 as they go through the carousel now. And Speedigo will try and get back past. Looks like he has decent pace. It's hard to gauge which of the drivers here would have a natural race pace over the other, because obviously Slipstream does help down the long straights around here. But yeah, looks like in the final sector he's lost about a 10th or 2, which is not great, because front straight would have been a nice overtaking opportunity. But at the moment he's not putting on enough pressure if he wants to get back into the top 5. So we have Eisen here right behind Kierovnik, the Polish versus German here. So they go side by side down the front straight. Eisenschenk has got the inside and he's actually got the move done before turn 1, so great exit there out of the final corner, and got past even before they got to the braking zone. That's how you ideally want to do it, and that's exactly what he has done. And that moves him up into P9. So next up for him would be Smolder ahead. Gap is currently 2 seconds between the two. So, having looked back down into the midfield here, this is the battle for 13th, and Crab is leading that pack. So, looks like he might be holding the guys behind up a little bit. As, whoops, that was Atomic going a bit wide there in turn 7, I think. and having a bit of a look at the grass, but he kept it pointing in the right direction, so didn't lose too much time. Gap to Greg went ahead. It's currently half a second. As ahead, WMDR Martin is now very close to Crab, so it definitely looks like Crab is struggling with straight line speed, which would suggest that my damage theory is correct, as Martin goes up the inside. It looks like Crab trying to do the switchback, can't get it done, and WMDR Martin now in P13, although Crab is fighting it. Ooh, it looked like he was almost too late on the brakes. That was looked like he was going to smash into the back from that angle there, and Speedigo into the pits. So is he in for a regular pit stop? Nah, doesn't look like it. Changing tyres, but he still has 46.5 laps of fuel in. He's put a bit more in, so should be able to go to the end now. But definitely interesting seeing him coming in here. So Martin still ahead of Crab. Crab seems to do a bit better when he has a car ahead of him to pull him along. But yeah, looking at from where he started, race not really going as well, unfortunately. As again, he runs a bit deep there into turn 5 and loses a bit of time. So just having a look, Speedigo now out of his pit box and exiting again. And it looks like he will rejoin in P22. So lost quite some time there. Let's see where he'll end up at the end of the race. Meanwhile, Kuronic hasn't given up on the fight with Eisenschenk here. This is now the fight for P8 after Speedigo's stop. Gap currently 8 tenths, as I think Kuronic went a bit deep there into Canada corner. And obviously that means he can't set up a run down the front straight. So, talking about Speedigo, let's have a look back at the fight for P5. Is this league using default setups? That's a good question. I think the answer is no, but I will get that information for you. But yes, pre-season today, so it's not too world-ending if you don't have a good race. And as I say that, someone went off there, but that was a lapped car, so I'm not quite sure who that was. I think it was Rixie. Yeah, that looks correct. So into the grass there, trying to get out of the way of these two here. Of AS Turbo and Toonbox. So, just having a look back at the front of the pack as Ultimate comes around the final corner. Gap to the leaders, currently 4.7 seconds. Can you even still see him on the straight is the question as he comes over the crest. Yeah, just about. That small dot there going through the first corner, that's Bogey, who's currently in first place, doing a very good job here of leading the pack. As we're now slowly but surely closing in on the halfway point of the race. So Yogurt now made it into the top 10 after not qualifying very well, but looks like his pace tonight is not quite as alien as it was in the Formula Renault League last summer. As he's run a bit deep there and had a bad exit through turn 5, is now under pressure. Whoa! That was him going onto the curb there. I was already seeing him spinning off into a wall, very well held. But he's obviously now under pressure to lose his top 10 spot. Do we have another pre-season race to join? Yes and no. This is the only pre-season race we'll have. Next week we will be racing in Bathurst for round number 1 of the championship. But usually there are social races going on where anyone can join. With signing up for the league, I'm not quite sure. I think sign-ups are still open, but currently there's no free spot, so you would be a reserve and have to wait until a spot opens up, which it usually does because, you know, drivers' time commitment changes, and they might not be able to find the time to complete a league, and then a reserve will step up to fill that spot. So, just to get back on Andrew's question, no, default setups are not being forced, so everybody can run their preferred setup. There's always a bit of debate how we want to set up a car. Obviously, all the cars will need different setups because obviously they are different cars. With different characteristics, but it looks like Inky Chris might be one of the guys who's done a very good job of doing that. As I say that, he runs a little bit wide, coming out of turn 7, as he's currently in 4th in a allegedly slower car, but at the moment he's doing fairly well, and closed up to Dusty in 3rd, so gap now under a second, and it looks like we might get a fight for P3 as well here, as the fight for P5 we've been having the last couple of laps. Can we spectate Uni? Yes, we can. There he is, currently in P27. But he's 51 seconds behind Rixie, the next car. Although Rixie now in the pits, so Uni might get a chance to move up a spot. But yeah, at the moment he's a bit behind. We do have a penalty, that's for Face Grinder, with 1 second. It will be added toward his time at the end of the race, as well as Atomic, just as we're talking about it. Just gaining a 1 second penalty there. Would there be an endurance league? There have been several endurance leagues on Project Cars 1 and 2 throughout the years. In one of them I actually drove myself back on Project Cars 1. At the moment there is none, but the race in Le Mans will be a basically a 10% race, so we'll have 2.4 hours of Le Mans. That's going to be round 5 in 5 weeks time. So if you enjoy endurance racing, that might be something for you to watch. But a complete endurance multi-class league, that's not something currently happening on Project Cars 2 at least. Obviously there's leagues going on Assetto Corsa Competizione, if that's a game you're interested in as well. Just head over to apexonlineracing.com and you'll find all the info on all the different leagues and games we are running. Classes also stay the same, so this whole season will be run with the LMP2 cars. So all the cars you see on track now, the drivers have registered the teams, the cars and the liveries that they will be running, and they will stick with that throughout the rest of the season now. So it looks like the gap between Inky Crisp and Dusty has increased again. You can see the gap there ahead, and that in front of Dusty is a lapped car. So let's hope that that car doesn't get into the way of those two, and that they can freely fight for that final step on the podium, as well as Tomahawks and AS Turbo still fighting out for that P5, as now Steven also has a 1 second time penalty there towards his name. So depends on how many penalties we'll have towards the end of the race. We'll have to have an eye out if they affect the results or not. So it looks like at the moment AS Turbo is either pushing very hard and not getting any closer, or for the moment very content with where he is. After all, we're not quite yet halfway, so there's still a bit to go towards the end of the race, so no need to push too hard, to take any too big risks. Who's at the bottom of the table? That is currently Admiral Loverod. So yeah, maybe we'll have to figure out a different overlay, since we have so many drivers they can't actually read the bottom of the table. So thanks for that note there. I'll make a mental note to check that. As Kironic is now into the pits to make his pit stop. Which means Atomic now moves up into 13th place. As we have Ritvars here, I think Latvian driver if I'm not mistaken, also raced in the Formula Renault League. He's currently in 12th. 1 second behind Gwegwin, trying to move up some more positions. But at the moment, all in all, the field has slowly started to spread out. And interestingly, not too many incidents we've witnessed so far. But as I say, that Gwegwin did run a bit wide and lost some time there, and now Ritvars has done the same and lost his chance to get past. I think Ritvars hadn't experienced the Dirty being so close behind another car. Usually the gap is like this, 7 or 8 tenths, and then coming through turn 7 he was literally on Gwegwin's gearbox. So lucky escape there for Gwegwin for now, but obviously he shouldn't do any more mistakes if he wants to hold on to that spot. So I'm just having a look at the lap times at the moment. But yeah, it still looks like Bogey is in a bit of his own league, although Ultimate is running more or less the same pace. Both did a 53.6 the last time round. But since the gap is already around 5 seconds, looks like at the moment it's a stalemate between the two. But both of them I think will still have to make a pit stop for fuel. As I've said, there's no mandatory pit stops forced by the lobby settings, but just fuel consumption dictates that we'll have to stop sooner or later. Chase asking, how do you get into the Project Cars 2 races? If you look below in this in the description box, you'll find a link to apexonlineracing.com. There you can head over to the forums and find all the different games we have and all the different leagues on the different games. And all of the leagues will have their sign-up thread where you can sign up to one of the leagues. For this one, at the moment, we have quite a few reserves. So if you would sign up, you might have to wait a bit to actually be able to join a race, or perhaps you'll have to wait for another season, unfortunately. The decision this season was pretty close on having 1 or 2 tiers, since there were around, I think, 40 sign-ups and only 30 spots in the league. But having 2 tiers with 20 drivers, plus usually some of the drivers, as I've said, drop out during the season. Towards the end of the season, the number of drivers in a race would have become fairly small, so that's why there's 1 tier so far this season, but who knows. I mean, the interest seems to be there, as someone was facing the wrong direction. Unfortunately, I didn't catch who that was. That was Dusty, actually. Dusty, running a P3 for so long, spun out of turn 7 and has now dropped down to 6th. And we can see, I think he has damage there, if I saw that correctly. Yeah, you can see on the right-hand side, the headlight's not working and a bit of damage on that corner of the car. So not only did he spin around, but he's also hit a wall. So surely he'll have to make a stop soon and try and at least get it a little bit repaired, because that will definitely knock his pace, and probably also how the car handles will be more difficult. But he has lost 3 spots so far, and about I think 12 seconds of time. But yeah, he's now pulling off into the pits and will get some repairs done. So that's very unfortunate for Dusty, which means that Inky Chris is now up into 3rd, but he's still hunted down by Tomahawks for that 3rd position. So that fight is definitely not over, as the sun slowly starting to move towards the horizon as it gets later in the day. Someone asking, are races going to be once a week? Yes, races are going to be once a week. So we have this pre-season race, and then we'll have 6 races during the season, and we're starting obviously tonight, and it means every following Wednesday. So every week, Wednesday at 8 PM UK time, we will have a race here in the LMP2 League. So watch out for that. You can follow AOR on social media if you want to stay up to date about all the races happening. And it looks like Inky Chris and Tomahawks are running here into quite a bit of traffic ahead. That's 3 lapped cars there. I don't know how to get past without losing too much time. Usually lapped cars are better for the chasing driver, because it's usually the lead car that is losing time, as they're now lapping the first couple of drivers. But yeah, the gap is now just 2/10 between... Whoops, and that's someone in the pits. Inky Chris pulls the trigger, trying to prevent the undercut, and comes into the pits. Yeah, someone was around there. Unfortunately, I didn't catch who that was on the inside of the final corner. So that moves Tomahawks up into 3rd position. Inky Chris into the pits, trying to maybe get a gap on strategy, put on fresh tyres, and then go to the end. Oh! As Tomahawk's having to really smash on the brakes there to not hit one of the lapped cars who was half spun on the inside curb there, right on the racing line. And now for good measure, he's got a lapped car. No, sorry, that's not a lapped car, that's actually ERS Turbo right beside him as they go side by side through turn 5, fighting for third in this race. Tomahawk's, the Swede, has the inside line. ERS Turbo has to concede, stay behind for now, but he's definitely tasted some blood here, and he'll try to get past. Have to wait and see what Inky Chris does. Where did he rejoin anyways? In 10th currently, and in a bit of traffic, so we'll have to wait and see if he can stay ahead of these guys here. Just having a look, ERS Turbo with 11.9, Tomahawks with 11.5 litres of fuel left in the tank. So they'll have to come in very soon. In just a couple of laps. Got 22 minutes remaining on the clock. And at the front, Bogey setting just a blistering pace. 152.3 last time round. Following car Ultimate only 153.9. The cars behind him 156, 155, 155. So the Norwegian currently in a league of his own, and now has a 10-second gap towards second place. So I think the only thing that can stop him now is himself or a lap car. ERS Turbo still hunting down Tomahawks here. Fighting for P3, although you know, Inky Chris is still somewhere around there. After pit stops as well. So at the moment it looks like a three-way fight. ERS Turbo is WMDR Martin's teammate in the midfield mowing machines, which is an interesting name. He's currently not in the midfield, he's currently fighting for third, so going very well for him. Whereas we have Tomahawks currently holding up to that spot, but have to wait and see for how long he can do that. So we have our race leader into the pits. He's now dropped down to second, and he'll probably drop a few more spots as there we go, 49 litres put in. And surely new tyres on as well as he makes his way back out of the pits. I'll have to see where he rejoins. Smolder now also in for his stop, as well as Eisenschenk. So it looks like it's pit stop time for the guys that ran long. And Bogey has rejoined in 4th place, around 20 seconds behind ERS Turbo, and another 10 seconds ahead of Ritvars. ERS Turbo still on the rear bumper, or on the diffuser. These cars don't really have bumpers now, do they? On the diffuser of Tomahawks. They're still fighting for that spot. I'm just trying to gauge the gap to Inky Chris, which has stayed about the same, I think, since Inky has stopped. So it's going to be interesting to see in what order they'll all end up in the last couple of minutes here. And surely these two will soon have to stop. So we've got less than 5 litres now left in the tank. So are they going to pit now or next lap? That's the question. And yeah, AS Turbo doing the opposite of what Tom is doing in front. You could see that he was waiting whether Tomahawks was coming in or not. And since Tomahawk stayed out, that means AS Turbo is coming in, as well as Ultimate Kaiser is also in the pits now for his refuel. As Bogey should now get past. Yep, there he goes. Up into second. And we're going to stay with Tomahawks here. Let's see where he rejoins once he does his pit stop, because surely now this lap he will pit, as someone used the runoff there to get out of the way. Ritvar's now into the pits, and as AS Turbo now exits with 39 litres in the tank for the last 17 minutes of the race. But back to Tomahawks. He's currently going through the carousel, as whoever was behind him there, I think, cut the corner slightly and got onto the grass. That's not going to help your pace. Okay, so now crunch time for Tomahawks. Pedal to the metal in lap. Less than a litre left in the tank. Absolutely drained it. 0.7. 0.6. So yeah, he's probably going to come into his box with like half a litre left. And now 59-60 kilometers an hour. That feels so incredibly slow. If you've just been doing race pace for the last 45 minutes. And he's got quite a way to go up to his box. And there it is. Stopped. There we go. Bogey has now retaken the lead, unsurprisingly. And Tomahawks is now in the pit. So let's open the map and go to AS Turbo, who's actually behind Inky Chris by 6 seconds. So it looks like Inky Chris did gain with that stop, whereas now he's crossed the line now, and he's also passed Tomahawks. So Inky Chris back up into third. Question is, Tomahawks going to stay ahead of AS Turbo? No, he's not. By quite a bit actually, so it looks like the undercut may have been extremely powerful today, as Tomahawks actually rejoins behind Smolder in 5th place. So he lost a huge amount of time there, and even AS Turbo did, compared to Inky Chris. During all the pit stops, looks like Ultimate has regained a couple of seconds towards Bogey, but gap at the moment still 8 seconds. So no too big threat there for the Norwegian in the lead. Just having a look, we have a few more cars or drivers with penalties, as that was, I think, TPW having a bit of an inspection of the grass there, while Matt is putting on the pressure. That is for P16. Just having a look here at the timings. Stephen Carey actually has 11 seconds worth of penalties now. Crab has 2. The other penalties are all 1 second. So I wonder what Stephen did to get those penalties. Maybe speeding into the pits? That could be could be a reason. Or forgetting to put the pit limiter on or something. So, 13 minutes left in this race as the sun is now definitely very low above the horizon. Let's see in cockpit cam coming through this corner. It's starting to get a bit of an issue, depending on what direction you're going. Going down here, it's definitely blinding a bit, and the sun will set even further. So that's something we'll have to think of. As TPW himself has now caught up to the back of JJ here. TPW, one of the coordinators. I think he's even a moderator on AOR. And has been in the Project Cars community with AOR for quite some time now. He's racing for the Raging Wednesday drivers. And he's one of the few driving the RWD P20. So, as we've seen, most of the drivers are in the Ligiers, but not TPW, who gets a way better run out of the final corner there. I think JJ made a mistake, had a bit of a wobble there. And has already been passed, but now JJ has the slipstream, goes up the inside. They're going to go side by side into turn one. Not quite sure if there was a bit of contact there, but TPW had to concede that position. It's now down to 16th, and we'll try and have another go at JJ. As he's currently being lapped by, I think that's Ultimate. Yes, it is. As we now have Tom Hawks in the pits again, which is interesting. So maybe he had some incident, some sort of damage. He's currently in P7, so he did lose some time. He was behind Smolder earlier, so that's very unfortunate for him. Was in a good position to perhaps finish on the podium tonight, as he passes Andrex, who's currently in the pits as well, currently in P22. So let's rejoin here for the battle for 15th, which is JJ, TPW and Matt in P15, 16 and 17. Now again, TPW getting closer to JJ here in the final sector. Now the question is who can get the better run out of the final corner, and it looks like that was JJ this time around, so he might have averted a possible attack here from TPW, who's trying to stick in the slipstream, going left, going right, trying to stay behind JJ here, coming down to turn number 1. At this time, definitely not close enough. And we'll have to try again later. As is JJ having some kind of issues there, going slow and defending the inside line here, as they basically come out of turn 3 side by side. But looks like JJ perhaps has a bit better straight line speed as they come down to turn 5. Oop. JJ went a bit wide there. Surely that's going to give TPW the inside line here, coming down through turn 6, and that should be moved on, and it is. Matt right behind the two, trying to maybe gain from that. Oops, and as I say that, goes a bit wide there. But yeah, looks like he... Nope, still not past JJ there. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with JJ, if he's having some sort of car issues, but a bit over the place, if I'm allowed to say so. Tomahawks rejoined in P13. He's now currently behind Speedigo, trying to make up some places. He should be on fresh tyres at least, so maybe that can give him some sort of advantage here in the final couple of minutes. 8 minutes to go, to be exact. As he's now really close, so surely he'll have a go. Yep, there they go, side by side. Speedigo versus Tomahawks. Speedigo flashing his lights there, as they're still side by side. This is a drag race down to turn 5, and it looks like Speedigo let Tomahawks go there and conceded the position, and will drop down to 13th place. Crab, haven't heard a lot of him in the last couple of minutes of the race. After having a good starting position, had issues in the first couple of minutes. I think gained damage, had to stop, lost a lot of time, and now he's not even in the top 20. Currently fighting Average Boy for the top 20 here. And it looks like Crab might get it done. Coming into the braking zone. Yep, there we go. Average Boy conceding that position, and Crab now moving himself up into the top 20. Another driver who's had not the best of fortunes tonight. Dusty in 17th. Bogies, the race leader's teammate. Was running in 3rd for quite some time, but had a spin and hit a wall, and needed to come in for repairs, which cost him a lot of time. Well, I think 1.5 minutes or so. And finds himself now in 17th position. Currently there are 14 drivers still on the lead lap. And Dusty now behind JJ, who has been struggling the last couple of minutes. So maybe a chance for Dusty to pick up another position. Pops Racer says LMP2 cars are some of the best in Project Cars 2. I couldn't agree more. I've driven them in the 2nd season of the Endurance League back on Project Cars 1. And that was a lot of fun. Even though the races were quite exhausting. Plus I had a bad seating position back in my old setup, which meant that my knees were killing me towards the end of 2.4 hours. And it looks like Dusty now having a go at JJ, having a look around the outside. That's not really an overtaking opportunity, but he forces JJ into an error. JJ going wide there in turn 8 and has to give up the position. And that's Dusty through then for P16. JJ now with another car behind him, but that's fortunately not another position that you'll have to concede. That is Inky Chris, who's lapping him, currently in 3rd. Inky Chris already flashing lights to Dusty, so that's how the tables can turn. Dusty in 3rd for a long time, and now it looks like he's going to get lapped by 3rd position. Very unfortunate for him, as we have 4 minutes remaining in the session. So another 2 to 3 laps until the end of the race. Been quite eventful. A lot cleaner though than we saw last week in Laguna Seca. That was a bit of a more chaotic race, but looks like the drivers have prepared better for this one. And I'm sure next week they'll be on top of their game and do their best when the season officially kicks off in Bathurst, no less. So that's definitely going to be an interesting race, especially on the top of the hill with these cars, the walls being so close. One small mistake can cost a lot, even more than here. We've seen a few slip-ups here and there tonight, but since the walls are further away on this track, drivers didn't get punished as much. That will be different next week when we go to Australia. As Gwegwyn is now closing up to Speedigo here, so Speedigo might lose another position. Had to concede 12th to Tomahawk, and might now lose 13th as well to Gwegwyn. Gwegwyn, one of the few drivers driving the Marek RP 219D, and someone pulling off into the pits there. I couldn't quite see who that was. Oh, that was actually Speedigo. Oh no, Speedigo only has 0.9 litres of fuel left. Oh dear. Oh no, he doesn't have enough fuel to finish the race. That's so unfortunate. Thankfully there's no points to lose tonight. Otherwise that would have been very, very, very heartbreaking there for Speedigo, as he's now going to lose even more positions. I think there might be some repairs going as well. Technically the Lollipop Man has put the Lollipop up, but Speedigo is not exiting, so I'm not quite sure what's happening there. Looks like we might have another fight for the top 10 going on here, as WMDR Martin closing up to Atomic, and Atomic has a penalty of 1 second currently. So if WMDR Martin can stay within a second behind Atomic, he will gain that final top 10 position. Speedigo now exiting the pits, but he's dropped out of the top 20, unfortunately. With only 1 minute remaining in the session, sorry. And WMDR Martin now currently out of that 1 second window that he needs to get P10. As the last couple of seconds now running down. Bogey still in first place with 14 seconds, or almost 15 seconds of a lead, and then another 15 seconds to Inky Chris in third. So quite the dominant performance there from Ultimate, and especially from Bogey France. Absolutely insane drive tonight. And Martin currently just can't get close enough. He's starting to lose time again towards Atomic, and Tomahawks is just behind him. So that's going to be very interesting. And actually Bogey France also just a couple of seconds behind those guys. Obviously a lap ahead, as the time has now run out. WMDR Martin closing in again. So he'll have to have an eye out behind it as well, because Tomahawks is closing in. But the gap currently about a second. It's moving between 0.9 and 1.2 seconds. So it's going to be interesting across the line whether Martin will be close enough or not. But yeah, now he's lost quite some time through the carousel, so that might have been it for Martin. There's again a bit of a moment there. Someone awkwardly trying to get out of the way. That's not what you want. Wait a minute, was that someone having trouble? Yeah, it's Atomic! Atomic is having trouble, oh no! He's dropped down to 12th now. That gives Martin a P10 spot, but Tomahawks is right beside them. They're coming down the straight. Tomahawks is ahead as Bogey France now finishes the race but the other two will still have to go a full lap. So obviously congrats to Bogey for winning the preseason race here at Road America. Ultimate is going to come home in second. Looks like Inky Chris is going to finish in third. WMDR Martin and Tomahawk still going for it, so we'll stay with these two. As they come down to turn 5, Tomahawk's right behind. But not quite close enough. Will you try and have a look? No, he's staying behind for now. But this fight is definitely not over. And I think these might actually be the last two, or some of the last drivers. Yeah, that will cross the line. Oh, Martin with a moment there, losing the back end on the curb, exiting turn 6. Now they're side by side through the kink of 7. Oh, that's a nasty chop. They're just going in ahead of Tomahawks. They're trying to give him some dirty air and scare him off, but Tom is still there as they're fighting through the carousel. Only 2.5 tenths between them. Surely he's going to feel the tire wear and the dirty air going through there. Well, as they pass someone there, going, oh, and there's been a crash. Tomahawks into the back of Martin there. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, Martin has run out of fuel. That's why he suddenly slowed down. Now he's being pushed. So maybe Tom can finish the race. So let's just go through the results then. Bogey finishes in first. Ultimate in second. Inky Chris with a great performance there in the Oracle, finishing in third. AS Turbo in fourth. Smolder P5. Yogok managed to move himself up to sixth. Great performance there from him. Considering he started way down the order in, I think, P17. Face Grind in 7th, Ritvars in 8th, Tomahawks in 9th, and looks like Martin is now going to get pushed up the hill so he can finish the race in 10th. That is good sportsmanship right there. Who's that pushing him? I think it's Andrix. Yeah, there we go. And I think Tom didn't make it before the timer ran out. Sorry, Martin. Martin is classified as DNF, as is Eisenschenk, but still in 10th, so that's the thing. So, as I've said, Burgerfranz, Ultimate Case, and Inky Chris on the podium. We've went through the top 10 positions, and we've got Eisenschenk in 11th, Atomic, Gwegwin, TBW, Dusty having a difficult race, only finishing P15, JJ, Crab the same in 17th, Average Boy in 18th, Stephen Carey in 19th, and we've got Matt 58, and then the last couple of divers, Speedy Go, Andrex, The Gnome, Uni, Steve Allen, and Admiral Lovrod in P26. So I'll start to get ready here for some interviews after the race. So let's hop on to the Discord server. Where is it? There we go. Into the nice commentary box. Then we'll get this nice screen going on for you. And the first driver we're going to be talking to, of course, no other than the race winner, Burgerfranz. Good evening.
Hello. Hey.
So, first of all, congratulations, even though there's, unfortunately for you, no points awarded tonight. I think it's still a good start to the season, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, really happy with that result. So scary, to be honest. Made a setup based on leading, so I kind of, yeah, I really had to nail it down in the qualifying, and I hope, thankfully I did, so yeah.
Well, it definitely seemed as if that worked out very well, considering I think the pole position lap time was 1 second quicker than P2, and during the race, I'm not quite sure how much you went towards the limit, if that even was necessary, but yeah, 15 seconds lead there at the end is a pretty dominant win, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I'm really happy with that. I was experiencing a lot of lags, unfortunately, so I didn't want to push it too hard, but I felt I did a good best lap and overall pretty happy. Good start of the season, indeed.
So, obviously, with the race results, and especially with the gap, you did it. You think it's safe to say that the championship and no less should be your goal for this season?
Sorry, can you hear me, Thompson?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Sorry, what was that? What was that again?
I said with the result tonight, and especially with how big the gap was as well. Do you think anything less than the championship should be a good goal for you for the season?
Yeah, I'm definitely aiming quite high for this season. Just came from another LMP league, so I'm pretty prepped. I'm pretty ready for it. I want to do it good here, so hopes are high, and definitely going to practice a lot. Give it everything.
All right, we're all going to wish you the best of luck, and perhaps see you in another winners commentary box in the next couple of races. So good luck to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay.
So next up, of course, we're going to talk with the next one up in P2. That's Ultimate Kaiser. Obviously, good race from you as well. Same gap in front as behind at the end of the race. But yeah, what would you say, Bogey? Just no chance tonight, or do you think?
No, really, he's like a second a lap faster than me. I couldn't keep up with the pace without scaring for my position. I was really taking it easy for the last, 4 or 5 laps because I had a good margin to the back. But no way catching Chris tonight.
So, looking at how the race went tonight, it looked like at the start there was a bit of pressure from behind. How did you handle that?
Yeah, I had a few scraps with Dusty into the first corners. Actually, it was really hard to see Bush fronts accelerating because you have this massive A pillar to the right. So I was caught napping a bit there. But I knew it was hard to overtake. So after I got him back, I really was just focusing on getting those laps in.
And considering tonight's performance, when we head to Bathurst and to the following rounds, what are your goals for this season?
Well, considering how it went tonight, I will definitely look for a top 5 finish if it's possible. But I would be happy with everything in the top 10 here because there are a lot of fast drivers, and yeah, depending on tracks and conditions, I will probably not do as good as every time as tonight. So I'm fairly happy with that.
All right, so I guess wishing you the best of luck for the upcoming races, and perhaps see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. See ya.
So next up, we're just going down the order of the podium, and in P3 we have a bit of a surprise, considering allegedly the Orica is not one of the fastest cars. It's Inky Chris. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, I mean, that was quite a race. For a long time, it looked like a decent finish, I think. But P3, did you expect that at the, let's say, after the first 10-15 minutes of the race?
Definitely not. I mean, I started P6, I think, and I thought Speedy would kind of give me a good run for my money. But I think he just went a bit wide. I managed to just get ahead of him, and I was saying to some of the others, it's basically a case of waiting for others to make mistakes in these, because unless you're miles faster than someone, it's so difficult to kind of get up close to someone and pass them because the downforce is so sensitive, you know.
So I've touched upon this a bit during the live stream, but why that P3 performance was especially noteworthy. But maybe for the viewers, you can explain a bit what the difference between the Orica and the other cars is in this LMP2 league.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the sign-ups, most people could probably gather that the Nissan is is the car of choice. Certainly in the time trials online, the Orica is definitely a good second or two slower around most tracks. But I don't want to assume that that's because the car's worse. Sometimes cars just get neglected on the time trials, and that kind of gives them a bad rap. This car's definitely strong, kind of low speed, kind of medium downforce corners and stuff. It's really strong there. Certainly against some of the turbo cars and the Marek, which very much struggles through tight hairpins and stuff. It's not got the gearing for it, so it's quite an agile car, but certainly down the straights, the Orica really kind of loses out.
So through the race, it seemed like a bit of strategy actually came into play there. You came in fairly early. I think you also had still quite some fuel left as well, so it wasn't necessary per se, it seemed. Was that strategy set from the start, or was that on the fly decision to box a bit earlier?
Yeah, so the original plan was to just drain the tank, because you want to make sure that you don't come out into traffic, and certainly not into traffic that you actually need to fight on track. So that was the plan, to just kind of drain the tank and get as close to empty as possible before coming in. But I kind of spotted some people fighting up ahead. I think it was battle for P17, 18, 19, something like that, and they were all kind of jostling around 2 wide, 3 wide sometimes. And I thought, okay, if I get anywhere near the back of them at the end of this lap, then I'll just come in and hope that the guy behind me who's tearing the gap down to me stays out. And that's exactly what happened. So I came in. They did slow me down a little bit because I think they had a little bit of an incident into the kind of final section. So I just dived in, got the fuel, and then just waited for everyone else to pit. I had, I don't know, 12 liters or something, 14, maybe 3 laps of fuel. And so I just dived in and then waited for for it to all iron itself out again, and I ended up good 4-5 seconds up from that pit call. It was maybe a kind of efficient pit as well. Took on as little fuel as possible. Ended up with about 2.5 liters left at the end. So a lot of trust in my crew chief.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that the undercut worked quite well tonight. Do you think that was track specific, or is that something generally in this LMP2 league that we'll have to watch out for in the coming races?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, I think most people are going to try and run the tank down unless there's a circuit that is just destroying tyres, in which case people might kind of 50-50 it and go for a tyre change. I'm not sure if we'll see that. But yeah, I think most of it's traffic. I think if you can, I mean, if anything, I should have pitted a lap earlier and I'd have been even better off. But you never know where you're going to come out. If you come out, half a second behind someone, it's actually quite difficult to lap people unless they're willing to really slow themselves down to let you through, which thankfully a lot of people are kind enough to do in this league. So yeah, I think most of it's going to be traffic based. So yeah, hard to predict, but interesting to watch, hopefully.
So considering you finished on the podium tonight, what are your goals for this season?
To be honest, just same again. I'll be happy with podiums. I don't expect to be qualifying as high. There seems to be some really good pace in the field, but maybe a slight lack of consistency or kind of pushing too hard. I was just focusing on hooking it up, not trying to chase the green lap times. Just trying to keep consistent, not try and make any rash decisions or mistakes. So I don't know if that keeps happening, then maybe I'll end up on the podium a few more times. That'd be nice. And depending on the track, I don't know if the Orica particularly excels anywhere. Looking forward to the Nordschleife, because hopefully people don't know it as well. if nothing else, and it's quite a tight, twisty circuit, hard to pass on at the best of times, let alone in this. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, thank you very much, and see you in the next couple of races.
Yeah, thank you.
So just having a look who is available, and I think next up we should talk about a man who had quite a couple of interesting last couple of laps. It's WMDR Martin. Good evening.
Oh.
So, I mean, what a battle for P10 that was. Just take us through the last couple of laps from your perspective.
Yeah, I didn't quite expect it to get that close towards the end, especially after spending most of the race fairly lonely after that early crash when I got taken out by a back marker. But so for the last few laps, it was just trying to stay consistent, hoping that something would slow down Atomic, which Andrex did. And then Speedy was behind me as well, but he made some contact with the wall earlier, so he was dropping back. And I think I forget who exactly was close to me towards the end, but he was leading the race at some point, and then I think he had an issue with the back marker as well, and then he kept on getting closer and closer until we were side by side in the final lap, and I just ran out of fuel because when I pitted for my damage, I decided to go ahead and chuck in all the fuel, but since it was so early on in the race, the tank didn't fit all the fuel in, which meant that I had enough for basically the entire race minus half a lap.
Yeah, that was definitely something to behold for. I just was absolutely surprised when it was Tomahawk when he smashed into the back of you outside